Well, we were talking, he was talking about cameras, and I had a disagreement with Chief Mazzio, and then I called you, and you didn't get back to me. I talked to a couple other council people about this matter. I talked to Yeager, head of Northumberland County Security, about this matter. I talked to Vinnie Clausy about this matter. I called Shock about this matter, and he didn't get back to me yet. And I'm not sure what to do. My heart's going a mile a minute. But when you have a disagreement with the chief, I thought my next step was to go to the mayor. And I didn't get a call.
With the chief, so go ahead.
I didn't get a call back from you, so I just showed up at this meeting. And I don't know if you want to tell me that this isn't the place, this isn't the time. You want to discuss this with me in private, whatever you want to do. But I have a concern. And Dan Reamer gave me prints that prove that it is an alley that started the concern. An alley started the concern and a right of way. And all I wanted this gentleman to do was to quit plowing snow in the alleyway so I don't have to go out and shovel it away, tons of it. And I expressed my concerns to them, and they said I was SOL, quote. And they didn't swear, they just said the SOL, his workers. And then I ran into this gentleman, and then we had the incident that I am concerned. I got an answer that I don't agree with, that it was no harm, no foul. But back to the cameras, these allegations that I haven't made can be seen on camera. I'm almost 99% sure, on Northumberland County cameras. And Reaver said I would need a subpoena from a judge, somebody to get a subpoena from a judge to see his film.
But Mr. Hoagland, we have properties every snowstorm that end up getting driveways plowed, and that people get mad about, the PennDOT closes them, we close them.
This is not an accident. This is intentionally done to harass the neighbors and me. This is
There's no
intentionally
snow
done.
plowing. We have snow, I'm saying we have those
You-
situations throughout the
This
city.
person that plows for you is plowing a city street that nobody else in the city plows. I don't know if the board's aware of that, but this man is allowed to plow a city street where nobody else is allowed to plow. This man, then, there's an alley that attaches to it. He plows that alley shut so we cannot access it. He does it on purpose. He's parked people in before, he's plowed people in before. He is not being a very good neighbor in the neighborhood that he owns property in.
So does this city employee live in your neighborhood?
It's,
Does this city employee live in your neighborhood?
it's not a city employee. This is the only guy that can plow a city street that is not a city employee.
Does he live in that neighborhood?
No, he owns that neighborhood. Now, I don't know if you want me to make these allegations here, because the last guy that made allegations against him ended up in court being sued. And those allegations were dropped.
Well, you have me lost when you talk about he's not a city employee, so I'm not.
Yeah.
Let me jump in here a little bit, since I work for the county and since I'm in charge of the maintenance. He does not plow that street just because he wants to plow it. On certain complexes where we have our dumpsters, it's required to be cleaned. That last snowstorm where it got piled up in there, it was removed, Britt. It wasn't
Where?
left there. That big pile was piled in front of the.
By the dumpster?
No, it was cleared in front of the dumpster. It was pushed all the way up to that garage. It was cleared,
By me,
okay?
by hand.
No, that big pile was removed by his loader, okay?
No, it was
What
not.
this is boiling down to, Rick's having a problem with Penn Cycle. Penn Cycle's going to have him arrested if he doesn't stay off the property. And he's trying to drag everybody else in the middle of it.
Who's trying to drag who in
What
it?
property?
It's the.
Who's trying to drag who?
Building A and B up there on North Second Street.
Excuse me, Dale Henry?
Let him, he'll be with you in a second.
Okay.
Ron Yeager said that he could not have access to the county, the film, unless he got a subpoena. What's that other thing you get? A subpoena or what else?
Subpoena.
Or a court order.
Right.
He said, if you go get that, he goes, I'll give you whatever you're looking for. But those are the county's private security cameras for us, not for neighbor disputes.
Okay. This is not a neighbor
What this is boiling
dispute.
down to is Rick doesn't like.
Dale
the
Henry,
keep
let me,
getting.
okay, you stopped, and I started again, and then you
All right, go ahead.
interrupted me, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Dale, who did you mean when you said he's just trying to go to everybody and make a problem? Who were you talking about?
You.
You know what? Now
You've gone to
listen,
two
now listen.
commissioners.
No,
you've gone
I'm
to
still
security,
talking.
you've
You were
gone-
talking about me, I
Let
want
me
to
finish
defend
my
myself.
statement. You've gone to how many people now? And you
Yeah,
haven't
and
done-
nobody gets back to me. And we're not talking about the snow plowing. We're not talking about the snow we put there past the dumpster so nobody can get out in the block. And we're not talking about all that. We're talking about what happened, and this is where I don't want to make the allegations. What happened when I removed all the snow, and I walked to the man, and he knew where I was, and I knew where he was, and I asked him not to plow it shut again because I just got done moving it all. He didn't want to hear it. He went irate. I got back, he told me so many ways to get off of the property, but I was sitting on North Center Street. And he said, get off my property. I went and got in my van. Okay, I got my van. He got in his truck. F-450, dual wheels, plow in the front, blade on the bottom. He drove that truck, and he drove it into the front of my van. Now, there was
Stop.
no damage.
No, that's enough. When I
No,
had this discussion, I told you there was no crime, there was no damage.
that's why I
Do
disagree.
not make the allegation somebody damaged your vehicle, or I swear I will have you arrested for false reports. You understand? Do you understand, sir?
A false report.
That's correct.
How
That
are
is
you
correct.
saying it's a
No,
false
that's
report?
enough.
All right.
That's enough.
No, I'm not being
Was the damage
silent.
your van?
You don't have to be
I'm not
silent,
being
just don't make
silent.
false allegations.
It's not, that's why I
Not
was
make false
worried.
allegations.
That's why I was worried. That's why I went to film.
When I had this discussion multiple times,
That's why I need
in
to
multiple locations, you will not let this
I always
go.
came to you.
If I have to have you arrested, I will, but enough, okay? The man didn't damage your truck, he didn't touch you, okay?
He intentionally ran the snowplow into me.
There is no damage in your
He
vehicle.
intentionally ran the
multiple times,
snowplow into me.
Okay?
That's my allegation. And
Well, that's what you
Investigated,
want,
that's not what
the
happened.
answer be no.
that's what happened.
That was investigated, there was no, that's why I never get back to you, it's a dead issue. There was no damage to your truck, there was no allegation against your truck. I don't know if the snow.
You can't drive a vehicle intentionally into another vehicle, I don't care if you put a pillow in front of it.
And 3 times I asked you, and 3 times you told me there's no damage, in 3 different locations. Are you changing your story now? Are you changing your story for?
I'm saying there was no damage, but he intentionally drove into me and kept the
All right,
snow
there's
from
no crime.
damaging
What
my
can we do for you?
vehicle.
Let me ask you a question. I still don't understand.
I don't wanna get arrested,
If it's
that's
not a
what I said
city
or not.
employee,
It's up to
if
them.
it's not a city employee,
It's Penn Cycle.
isn't your complaint with the county?
Yeah, and you see what they said? But it was, I went to the chief, and I don't agree with him. Can I not agree with the chief without getting arrested?
Just to clarify.
You're supposed to be able to.
he ceases to
First off,
live.
your complaint's not
We
with the
also
county.
pay rent for
Your,
site.
your complaint's,
Wait a minute, there's 3 people talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Alex.
your complaint's not with the county. That alleyway is not the county property. That
Exactly.
county, that alleyway has been plowed by the city crews the last couple of snowstorms.
No, it doesn't get plowed by the.
Yes, it does, because his men are the ones that did it. Now, there's a dumpster back there. That alleyway gets used extremely, very slightly.
Me, every day. Couple times a day if I can.
I don't know.
My nephews
My
and
office
nieces
is
getting
right
dropped
there.
off.
Number one.
A
Number
few
two,
times.
I don't know what cameras you think are gonna capture the incident that you're talking about.
They're there.
Where?
They're on the buildings.
Mm-hmm. And how far
You
out
know,
do you think they go?
this is where I get. This is
How
where
far
I
out do you
get.
think
This
those
man
cameras go?
intentionally drove into me and this is what
Where
I
were
get.
you parked at?
On North Center Street.
On North Center Street, close to the pine tree?
Yeah.
They may not have captured that. They're not for the parking lot.
No, there's a couple that will get it.
I don't think so. How would you know that?
Because I line up, I can see.
Well, yeah, but you don't know what the focus of those cameras are.
Well, I don't have a right to them, is what I'm being
You
told.
don't.
Because my vehicle wasn't damaged, but a man has a right to intentionally drive
You
into
don't have,
me.
you don't have access
As long as he
to those
doesn't cause
cameras
any
unless
damage,
you want
it's
to get a
fine.
subpoena
You need a
or a
lawyer,
warrant.
definitely.
That's what they say, you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer.
No,
Unfortunately.
they're private
Unfortunately, you
cameras.
need a lawyer because you don't agree with the chief of police.
No, I have no, I don't even know
Our
what the
police
situation
department-
And
is.
everybody's passing it to everybody else.
No, we're not.
But here's,
Police department investigated,
don't
found
bring the
there's no
Northumberland
crime.
County
What
into
happened
this.
other than that, it's up to
Don't bring
you.
the county
It's
into
on your
this.
cameras, you're in it.
Has
One at a
nothing to
time,
do-
one at a time.
It's in your cameras, you're in it. I'm alleging it's in your cameras, you're in it.
Then get a subpoena.
Yeah.
Get a subpoena.
I can't get a subpoena until I bring it to council or bring it to the chief.
No.
A civilian
Council
can't
and the
get a
chiefs have nothing
subpoena.
to do with Northumberland County.
And the last guy that tried to do anything to Ben
The
Seidel got
council
drugged
and
to
the
court.
chief has nothing to do with Northumberland County. If you got an allegation against the county,
All
bring
I
it
want
against
this
the
man to
county.
do is quit plowing that alleyway shut, period. I can take to getting plowed into intentionally by a rude man like that. And the chief
All I can
even
say
said
is-
it. I don't know if he'd even said it.
If-
It would've made me feel a little
If
better.
you're worried
if
about the
he was
cameras,
rude.
then you need to go to the people that have the cameras. And it's not city council, and it's not the police chief.
Well, there are cameras there, and I say it's on the cameras. I don't care who I have to go to. I'm in front of both of them.
Here's the wrong
We
people.
can't help you. You need to go get an attorney and get a subpoena for the cameras. The city has
They're not
no,
our cameras.
we have
I'm
no.
alleging a crime occurred in front of those cameras. You have the right to investigate that.
We did, and they said there is no crime.
Because you didn't look at the camera. It was recorded on Saturday
Did
morning.
you not say, not even a minute ago, there's no damage to your vehicle? What did I tell you? No harm, no
I'm
foul,
just
there's no
saying-
damage, there's nothing there.
Reckless
Okay?
driving.
There's
Reckless
no-
driving?
There is no.
Maybe a little reckless driving when you run a plow in the front of a
Right.
vehicle. Reckless
Your
driving?
vehicle is not damaged.
Can you give me reckless driving? You shouldn't do that.
Rick, enough, let it go.
Always let it go. My van got stolen and I told the police department.
And we
who took it.
investigated that, did we not?
You never went down and got a statement off the man that was ready to give you a statement. Now he's dead.
We investigated that.
He said the case was closed.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Can you?
Regina Russell, community activist, and Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to follow up with a couple of public safety issues that I had brought up at the last meeting. Each of you are in public office, and you're in this public office because the public trusts that you will have their best interests, and public safety is first as a public official. I made complaints about a property at 207, 209 South 4th Street, probably a month ago. And this trailer has been parked on the street for several months. I don't know if it's doing work there at the houses, but the trailer has materials on it. What I'm finding that is a safety issue is that there's 3 pipes extending outside of this trailer. And I also believe that there's an ordinance that covers that these type of trailers should not be parked on the street in residential areas in the city of Sunbury. Property at 238 South 4th Street, there's a gutter hanging, and it's hanging so low that it's coming across the sidewalk, and the only way that it's not falling is that it's a branch. It seems to be stuck on a branch, and there's a branch on the tree holding it.
What was that address?
That's 238 South
Did you report
4th
that to
Street.
code? Or
Yes,
just
sir,
bring it here?
I'm
Okay, go ahead.
trying to say that, for me to bring it to you publicly is because I've done many complaints and these things are not resolved.
Okay.
Again, I want to bring up the issue of 354 Walnut Street, where the owner, I don't know if it's her vehicle, if someone works for her, I don't know who it is, but there are two vehicles that park there, and one car is always extended across the public sidewalk. Now, I'm bringing this up again because I understand that the chief said when him and the director, council member Wagner, went to the property that there were 3 children in wheelchairs and they're disabled. I have to ask the council, and I have to ask you, what happens to the other residents in that community who use wheelchairs, they use walking canes? We have a blind resident that uses a cane to get around. You have people who have arthritis and they walk with canes or walkers. What are these people supposed to do because of one person being allowed to get away with parking their vehicle, and the ordinance for that is not enforced? I would think that there's other residents and there's other public safety issues that should be addressed. And we also, with the spring coming, I know that there's a young man that is wheeled on his wheelchair down that block. And they have to go in the street to go around. Now, I'm sure someone would say, why don't they roll them right across to the other side of the street? But they don't. They are coming down that side of the street.
Are you saying there's no access to a sidewalk there at all?
I'm saying
Between the
that,
curb line
I'm
and the
saying
sidewalk.
that the vehicle, and that really, no disrespect to you, that should not be the issue. The issue is that the tail of the car
You're making a
is
statement that
extending
people have
over
to go out
the
into the street.
sidewalk.
My question to you is that sidewalk completely closed by that vehicle?
That sidewalk has an incline, and that's what you guys are trying to say, that people can use as
No,
a sidewalk,
that's not
and
what I
they should
asked.
not have to use the incline. Yes, the vehicle blocks the sidewalk. I have shown pictures, I have pictures, I take pictures of everything that I come and complain to you about. I have things, I don't just come here with complaints, with frivolous complaints. Also, I was wanting to address the fact that the sidewalks, some of the sidewalks on Walnut that are in proximity of the school are deplorable and should have been noted to me, in my opinion, by the code office every time they investigated any complaints that I made within those blocks that are in close proximity of the school. I don't know why, but compassion and convenience, for whatever reason, should not endanger the public safety. There are a number of people with disabilities who travel through the community, again, in wheelchairs, use of walking canes, walkers. We have a blind person, and people with other walking disabilities. They use these public ways. And I would like to suggest, if anybody is interested, that the Board of Education has a website where you can fill out an application, and they have teams that will come out and they will do a survey for the safety of the kids in this community. And they have to work with the municipality as well as law enforcement and the school. And they will give you a grant to take care of things like the sidewalk and any other safety issues that they find in the community. Mr. Mayor, as our leader and the head of the city council, will you please fix these long overdue public safety issues?
The code office has them all?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say
Ms.
something.
Russell, go ahead.
I don't know about the sidewalks. Is there any damaged sidewalks that are,
There are a set of sidewalks in the area of where she's speaking, and I spoke to the property owner on that. Due to the weather conditions past winter we just experienced, they are delayed until we get conditions that can be proper for the repair.
okay. And as far as the lady parking on Walnut Street, we've been down there numerous times. The chief also said that there was not a problem with that. And if you would like us to follow the letter of the code book, I think we'll give her the parking, the handicap parking that's in front of your house, because you have off-street parking and you don't need that handicap.
Yes, I do, sir. I am
The code book says if you-
legally disabled,
Yes,
and there are
so-
times that
so
I
am
cannot
I.
walk, and
But
I
I have-
need to use a walker, and I cannot use it in my garage because it is too small.
Well, but I'm
So you
saying,
cannot force
you have
me to
access
do
to
that.
off-street parking. And that's what the code book says. If you have access to off-street parking, you can be denied a handicap spot.
Well, sir, I hate to tell you this, that lady has, off-street parking access, because she has a 10-seat bus on the street, she has 2 vans and a vehicle.
We went through this.
You know,
before.
this is
And
ridiculous
we're
how you
saying-
can fix your mouth to even say anything like that to me.
I'll tell you what now, you heard what the chief just said to Mr. Hoagland about false reports?
Yes.
That same thing applies
This
to
is not a
anybody.
false report. You are ignoring the codes,
No,
and you're
ma'am, I'm
not
not.
enforcing them with this particular person, and I
called
don't
the
know
chief-
why.
I called the chief of police.
Plus, I've already mentioned that it's a fire violation, which I don't understand why Mike isn't
That
addressing
door
that.
not being used.
Sir, it's
That's
2
not-
doors to
That's
2
not
parts of the house. And I've worked for UCP and I've worked for Northwestern in this city, and any type of training that I have had says that you cannot block any doors that exit a house in case of a fire. And if they have disabled children in that house, then there's a violation there. And I don't like to have to stand here and bring out things like that about people. I'm just asking you to take care of what should be taken care of.
Until the chief tells me that they're in violation,
He can't tell you anything. You employ him, you interviewed him, you gave him that job. Let him tell you something that you don't want him to tell me, and I'm sure he'll have a
I
pink
never
slip.
asked you to tell me something.
Excuse me, I didn't come
Just
here to
because
get
the way
into
I
a
wanted to hear
verbal
you.
battle. I just came here to ask for your help. And like I said, Mr. Mayor, you're the leader. Everything comes from you.
Ms. Russell,
Thank you.
when was the last time you observed that trailer?
Today, sir, when I came
Is it still
here, and
there?
I'll be happy to show you a picture on my telephone.
I'll take a look at it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Jan Docky's Tires would like to thank you for filling those potholes sometimes.
Unfortunately, there's still some there we didn't get to
I
yet,
know,
but
but you got the big one, the one that had red front tires.
Swallowed the front end.
they should all be shown here. If we have 2 more days like today, it ought to be,
Yeah.
might get brutal. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the tax anticipation loans that were being negotiated last year. Last I recall in December, you announced you were going to take a loan from Swineford's Bank. Has that actually taken place, or?
If they were the low bidder, I don't remember.
Swineford's Bank, the low bidder, yeah.
Whoever the low bidder was, that's who got it, yes.
They did get the loan, yeah?
Yes, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
Can you adjourn?
We want to, Jim, you want to talk about HRI contract phase 3, the Riverfront project?
We had reviewed the contract, the contract's already go with the city. We're all
Okay.
done.
Money?
That's all signed and everything?
Yeah, everything, all the motions were made last time, I just want to bring it back up to date. They review it and
They reviewed it. 2014 liquid fuel budget, Dale?
All council members and the mayor should have a copy of it in there. We went over it last week, I think. And the only significant change for the fire council of last year, there was gonna be 100,000 applied to the street sweeper. We're only applying 50,000 this year and 50,000 next year. No, I'm saying, yeah, church, yeah.
Okay. This is information, this is nothing we need to vote on either.
I don't know, very fast. Very, very.
Just one page, Jim.
difference? You said something has changed?
I think it was last year, you allocated 100,000 towards the sweeper. Or Chestnut Street, I keep saying sweeper, it's Chestnut Street. Since the project's gonna go into 2015 for Chestnut Street, we're only spending. Yeah,
This is highway construction rehab, that used to be 100, made it 50.
correct. Because now we would only had a net of 35. I keep saying sweeper, I'm thinking something, yeah. It's Chestnut.
Okay, thank you.
We have a discussion, Keller Street Playground expansion. At the redevelopment authority meeting, there's actually a property that the city now owns right next to that playground that's down there now. So what I want to do is we'll go to the Recreation Commission and have them go down and look at it. Before we sell it off, I think we should probably just attach it to the playground, and see what we can do. The only expense I could see is possibly, that fence is probably pretty old to move it. We probably need a new cyclone fence with that along the new perimeter of it, but we can look at that. But
Once we acquire that, we can figure 2015 something.
right.
Depends on the cost.
Right now, we'll just keep the grass cut for it, in case of whatever we want to do. Eventually, we can get the fence around it. There's no sense, it's like, it's only 30 feet wide, I believe, so it's not like we use it for a building lot or
Any more green space in the
playground, right? Okay. Announcements, street sweeper schedule begins March 31st, ends November 14th. Circle that in your minds, March 31st. We actually have a street sweeper that works.
Cool.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe that's not true.
But they guaranteed us we will have one for loan if it's not here by then. If not, Mike said he'll come up in front of your house and do the collect.
And the compost area at North 4th Street, I don't know how many people have used that, but that's accepting brush and grass clippings. Not a lot of that right now, I don't think. Meeting March 29th, from 7:30 to 12 noon. City residents only.
Where is that?
Behind Biters.
In the corner behind Byers.
Up there in that corner behind, just drive past behind Biters, there it sits out right in front of it.
It's a fenced-in area, Jan, it kind of looks, that corner had a.
Everyone driving the biters around the back, pick something up, we're going to choose down the upper end here. The farthest entrance up on North Fourth Street, and just drive straight on back to the right hand side.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm sorry. Five minutes from now in my office, executive session for personnel. And again, thank everybody for coming. Meeting adjourned.
How are you? I hear you're getting a new pool.
I hear you're in the team.
No, it crunched down, but now it's popped back out. But it's still all water, so the church doesn't actually.
No, my dad said you're fine.
He goes, no, I think it's a nice little garden, community garden.
I think that was the first